एते तदभ्यसूयन्तः नानुतिष्ठन्ति मे मतम् सर्वज्ञानविमूढांस्तान् विद्धि नष्टान् चेतसः सदृशं चेष्टते स्वस्याः प्रकृते ज्ञानवानपि प्रकृतिं यान्ति भूतानि निग्रह किं करिष्यति इन्द्रियस्येन्द्रियस्यार्थे रागद्वेषौ व्यवस्थितौ तयोर्न वशमागच्छेत् तौ ह्यस्य परिपन्थिनौ श्रेयान् स्वधर्मो विगुणः परधर्मा स्वनुष्ठितात् स्वधर्मे निधनं श्रेयः परधर्मो भयावहः। अर्जुन उवाच अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरति पूरुषः अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय बलादिव नियोजितः। श्रीभगवानुवाच काम एष क्रोध एषः रजो गुणसमुद्भवः महाशनो महापाप्मा विद्धेनमिह वैरिणम् धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निः यथा दर्शो मलेन च यतोल्बेनावृतो गर्भः तथा तेनेदमावृतम् आवृतं ज्ञानमेतेन ज्ञानिनो नित्यवैरिणा कामरूपेण कौन्तेय दुष्पूरेणानलेन च इन्द्रियाणि मनोबुद्धिः अस्याधिष्ठानमुच्यते एतैर्विमोहयत्येषः ज्ञानमावृत्य देहिनम्।
Raga and Dvesha, likes and dislikes, are your enemies. To understand the psychology of an enemy, you need to understand your enemy is one who was your friend yesterday. It is the friend that turns into an enemy. You see someone and straight away you can't have enmity. First he has to become your friend and then he turns into an enemy. You associate with that person or with that object, you pamper that, develop an association, and then some disappointment, that turns into an enemy. Are you able to follow? Likes and dislikes, the human being pampers and entertains because it looks so friendly in the beginning, ultimately turning out to be an enemy. If it is understood that as inimical in the beginning, no human being will entertain likes and dislikes. But it appears very friendly. It appears very essential. It appears so useful. For how can you do anything without likes and dislikes? How can you live life without these things? So it looks like such an important, necessary factor for life. Because of this, the human being goes on developing these likes and dislikes, ultimately to recognize that they are one's own enemies. If only it is seen in the beginning, no human being will இவரை பற்றி ஆரம்பத்திலே தெரிஞ்சிருந்தா அசோசியேஷன் வச்சுன்னு இருக்க மாட்டேன் சார். உங்களை பற்றி ஆரம்பத்திலே தெரிஞ்சிருந்தா would not have come anywhere near you. Thought that you are a very wonderful, nice person, and then finally found out that exactly the opposite. That's what he says. That is why they talk about this penetrating capacity. Before you entertain, you need to know what is it that you are entertaining. Once you understand this is what you are entertaining and this is what you are asking for, at least you know, yes, you had exactly this is what you have ordered for, and it has and it has come to you. Likes and dislikes makes you to order something, you hope something else, and you end up actually experiencing something else. Let none come under the dominion of these two, for they are one's enemies. This raga and dvesha. It looks so, it appears very pleasant in the beginning. To do that which I like to do and to avoid that which I dislike to do is so nice to do, so good to do. How can you do that which you should always do that which you like? No, sir. Vedanta comes and says you should do that which you ought to do. Incidentally, you may like it. That's a different story. But you are doing it not because of the like, or you are not doing it because you dislike. Doing is of two types. You do something, you avoid doing something. Again I repeat. Doing is of you do something and then you avoid that, you make an effort to avoid also. No. So avoiding also is a kind of, you are able to follow? You make an effort to avoid doing something, you make an effort to do something. If it is driven by likes and dislikes, whatsoever you do or whatsoever you avoid doing, the end result of both is regret. The end result of both is pain, regret. I should have done it, but I don't know why I didn't do it. Or I should not have done it, but I don't know why I did it. So it doesn't really matter whether you do or you avoid doing, the end result of both is a regret, a pain. What makes a human being do it at that point of time? Likes and dislikes, raga and dvesha. Therefore, actions driven by raga and dvesha all the time ends up in pain. That which causes pain is inimical to you. That which causes pain is inimical. Since likes and dislikes are necessarily going to cause pain, he calls it as enemy. Not understanding that it is an enemy, the human being keeps encouraging it, keeps pampering it, developing more and more likes and dislikes. And then the human being comes and asks how to be happy, how to be peaceful, how to be happy. They turn around and say, get rid of your likes and dislikes. The likes and dislikes gives you a conviction, which is not conviction at all, ignorance it is. It gives you a kind of a wrong understanding about life, where if your likes are fulfilled and your dislikes are avoided, happiness happiness comes. Do or get that which you like, and don't do or avoid that which you dislike. You do these both, what you get? Happiness. This is how an ignorant person thinks about life, does all actions driven by likes and dislikes. And he says they are the enemies. 4 times he is going to repeat. Or what you we will finish off the explanation. You don't have to go through that. First time he said konja jasti story avladam. They are once enemies. When you understand something as inimical, dangerous, detrimental, you will not pursue that, because you have understood it as inimical. If a person is pursuing that, he has not understood it as inimical. See, why people don't pursue Vedanta? Because they see it as inimical. It will take away all your... Why they don't pursue this? They see it as inimical. What is it that is inimical in this? It will take away your enjoyments of life, will be taken away, and you have to become a and you have to live a beggarly life. No, we don't want to live that kind of life. Therefore, you see it as, if you are avoiding something, you are seeing it as inimical. The world is not seen as inimical, therefore the mind runs behind the world. Raga, likes, gives one kind of pain, dislike gives another kind of pain. And this likes will turn into a dislike very soon. The likes turn into a dislike very soon, because every like has a hope behind it. Every like has an expectation behind it. If that hope is not there, if that expectation is not there, you will not even have that like. So every like has a hope in it, has an expectation in it. And by and by you find the hopes are not being fulfilled. The expectations are not being fulfilled. Slowly the likes, so slowly the intensity of the like diminishes. It's not that you transcend it. It's not that you will transcend. The form changes into a dislike. Continuously associate with the dislike, very soon it will turn into a like. Continuously associate with something, it will turn into a like. They say acquired taste, no? What is an acquired taste? It is dislike in the beginning, but by and by you kind of continue to associate with it, you develop a like. So this likes and dislikes keeps changing. A person who is a victim of likes and dislikes is one who is constantly, if likes and dislikes are changing, the human being who is a bundle of likes and dislikes also keeps changing, and any human being who is changing becomes I said last week. Unpredictable. Unreliable. Imagine a person who is changing all the time. That person becomes unreliable. Why? Because of the victim of the likes and dislikes. So these likes and dislikes makes you unreliable. unpredictable, because you will never know what is going to surface at that point of time, and whatever surfaces at that point of time, you will be carried away by that. So these likes and dislikes on the more practical plane, it makes a human being unreliable, unpredictable. To avoid that, he said in the previous verses, have Shraddha. That's how you avoid these pitfalls. Otherwise, you will be a victim of these likes and dislikes. Makes you unreliable, inconsistent. A person who is a victim of likes and dislikes will not be a consistent person. Wants to do something at the same time wanting to avoid it also. This is how at the core it is inimical. If likes and dislikes are towards two different objects, or if it is towards two different beings, relatively it becomes that much easier. Where it gets that complicated is because likes and dislikes always is towards the same object or the same being. That is where with it there is no happiness, without it also there is no happiness. For these likes and dislikes, if it is at least towards two different objects, two different beings, to some extent it is manageable. Where it gets that complicated, and you can't get a complication more than this. It is always towards the same. Object, the same being. Something in that person you will like, something you will dislike. Even in an object, something you will like, something you will dislike. In the same object, in the same being. As a result of this, when you are with it, that part which is dislike is frustrated, no happiness. When you are not having it, that part in you which wants to like it is getting frustrated. So as a result, people say, no sir, always there is a sense of, always some kind of unhappiness. As specific, if you ask why, I am not able to really pinpoint and say, but there is a general sense of happiness. Krishna says it is because you are so confused. You are so confused inside. Why? You really don't know to like or dislike. Why we really do not know that is because we refuse to accept and understand that it comes as a package. We refuse to accept, we refuse to assess, we refuse to digest the fact that it comes as a package. Package means something you will like, something you will not like. The place you choose to live is a package. Something you will like, something you will dislike. Maybe you will like your place, but neighbor you will not. Or you may like the neighbor, but something else will happen. So as a result of which, you move into a place and then think, maybe I should have gone to, maybe I should have moved into some other place. Why? Victim of likes and it's not a lack of understanding about when I am associating with something, what is it that I am associating with? Something will be of my preference, something will be not my preference. Even in a classroom like this, it's a package. நல்லா பேசுறீங்க சார், பட் ரொம்ப ஸ்லோவாக இருக்குது, இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் ஸ்பீட். Somebody else will come and talk at such a speed, will say ரொம்ப ஸ்பீடாக இருக்குது, ஒன்றுமே புரியல, கொஞ்சம் beyond a point, with it or without it. The end result of all human pursuit is misery and unhappiness. You may like the logic, but you may not like my accent. You may like my accent, but you may not like something else. But nevertheless, it is a package. So, on a much grosser plane, all that you associate with, if the human being understands, something will be is like, something he will prefer, something he will not prefer. That is why all human beings make an effort to make it perfect. When they say it has to be made perfect, it's a very refined way of saying it has to be completely made according to according to my likes and dislikes. And that thing doesn't exist or can happen, because by law it will have, by the law of nature it will have both. So therefore, wherever he goes, whatever he does, he experiences and he feels as though something is always against, something is not going in the way that it has to go. In one word he says, all this is because I become a victim of your likes and dislikes. If your actions are not to be determined by likes and dislikes, then what should drive your action? Then what should drive your action? Obligatory duties. Then what should drive your action? Now he is very clearly making a statement. Your action should not be driven by likes and dislikes. If likes and dislikes should not drive your action, first of all, it is impossible even to digest the fact that it can't be driven by likes and dislikes. For how much ever you hear, it keeps coming back to the same point. How can you act without a desire? How can you act without a desire? Therefore, desirelessness, or no பேசினே இருக்கிறாரே தவிர, it doesn't seem to be actually possible. For very difficult even to digest the fact that desires should not drive the action. If desires should not drive the action, then what should drive your action? He is going to come up with the formula. That's verse number 35. I am trying to explain the connection between these verses. First he said, with Shraddha, do whatever it is. You lose Shraddha because of what? You lose the faith, you lose this, you lose everything because of you have become a victim of your likes and dislikes. So your action should not be driven by your likes and dislikes. Then what should drive your actions? If we have to understand likes and dislikes or desires should not drive the action. Logically speaking, inaction will be the result. Inaction will be the consequence. For all actions are driven by desire. You have to function based on, then act based on obligations. That is far more confusing than, it is nice to hear and say act on your obligations. Far more confusing, because how do you determine what is an obligation itself in the first place? Who determines that? What decides the obligations? Even though it is so nice to hear that, okay, likes and dislikes should not drive, then obligation should drive, and then what is obligation? Following likes and catering to likes and dislikes becomes the... He comes up with something so different. He says, let likes and dislikes not drive your action. Something else he comes up with. If this drives your action, and if that action is backed by some understanding, you grow. Something should drive that action, and it is also supported by the understanding, the knowledge. Then there is growth. Then there is evolution. Likes and dislikes are inimical. Don't allow likes and dislikes to drive your action. Then what should drive your action? Verse number 35.
Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharma swanushtita swadharme nidhanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha. Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharma swanushtita swadharme nidhanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha.
Better is Swadharma, though devoid of merit, than Paradharma, well discharged. Better is death in Swadharma. Paradharma is fraught with fear. Seems to be so straightforward a verse, but so confusing. Better is Swadharma, though devoid of merit, then Paradharma, well discharged. Better is death in Swadharma, for Paradharma is fraught with fear. We have seen this any number of times. Dharma means nature, Swa means one's own, and Swadharma means one's own nature. What is one's own nature made up of? The inclinations, one's own natural inclinations, natural tendencies, likes, preferences, all this constitute your Swadharma. Carefully follow. Paradharma means exactly opposite of it. Exactly opposite of what? Of your natural inclinations, tendencies, likes, preferences. So in effect, what is he saying? Follow your likes and avoid your dislikes. Fantastic advice, sir. Do your Swadharma. Correct, no? What is Swadharma? One's own What is one's own nature? Made up of one's own vasanas, inclinations, tendencies, preferences, likes. What is Paradharma? Exactly the opposite of it. Better is Swadharma, though devoid of merit. Devoid of merit is what? Devoid of merit means what is devoid of merit means? Not praiseworthy. ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கப்போ வரிசையா. Not praiseworthy.
No material benefit.
No material benefit. No material benefit. Devoid of merit. Third. No? There is no fruit. Not up to the mark. What is devoid of merit? The result not happening or coming. Devoid of, he simply says devoid of merit. That's all. He doesn't say anything. He simply says devoid of merit. Now what is this devoid of merit?
Unsuccessful. No success.
No success. No success. No appreciation. Right. Devoid of merit is you do an action with the hope of getting something and you ended up getting something else. You hope to get something and you ended up getting something else. I really don't know whether it actually works or not, or it really happens or not. Sometimes, they say you order a mobile phone, you get delivered, you open the box, you see a brick in it. I don't know whether it actually happens or not, but stories are like, I'm assuming it has to be a story only. Not really. This is what it is. You want something, but you expected something, but you ended up getting something else. What is merit? Shreyan Swadharma Vigunaha. Vigunaha means devoid of merit. Viguna, devoid of merit. Devoid of merit in the sense, understand it like this. Every action that you do, two things should happen. All actions must have these two things. Not creating new set of likes and dislikes, existing likes and dislikes disappears. Then the human being is acting rightly. Again, action, the right action means two things. One is not developing new likes and dislikes, existing likes and dislikes. Existing likes and dislikes reduces. Most of the time, or all the time, what happens? Either the existing likes and dislikes keeps getting strengthened, or the human being develops new set of likes and dislikes. Technically known as vasanas. Technically it is called as vasanas. But use the word likes and dislikes. For you can spot it much faster than using the word. Vasana is the technical term. The more practical term for it is likes and dislikes. Now what he is saying is better act in Swadharma, though devoid of merit. What is devoid of merit means? I gave this explanation. Existing likes and dislikes must decrease, and new likes and dislikes should not happen. Then it is merit. By doing Swadharma activity, even if these two things don't happen, continue to do Swadharma activity. For Paradharma, well discharged, well done. Well discharged means done with. What is well discharged? Devoid of merit. Now what is well discharged means? Well discharged means done effectively. Correct. Done effectively.
Successful.
I am talking about the doing, not the outcome. Correct. Very effectively, very efficiently, very doing. Don't think in terms of doing, not in terms of the result. In terms of doing, what all is valuable in doing? Satisfaction. Other result. Dedication.
Perfection.
Dedication. Consistent. Dedication, consistency, sincerity. These are all that which goes into the doing. When this goes into the doing, the result of it is success, satisfaction, all that. Now he is saying well discharged means he is talking about the doing part, not the fruit part. He is talking about the doing part. Now what is the doing? Even if you do a Paradharma activity full of dedication, sincerity, Shraddha, still don't do it. Better is death in Swadharma, and Paradharma is fraught with fear. But இவ்வளோ நேரம் நீங்கள் தானே சார் சொன்ன டெடிக்கேஷன் சின்சியாரிட்டி அதெல்லாம் இருந்துட்டனாலே எதுக்கு ஸ்வதர்மாலாம் வேணும். தட் இட் செல்ஃப் வில் ப்ரொடியூஸ் அ ரிசல்ட். நோ, that's what we have been believing all along. Now he comes with a twist and he is saying well discharged. He is not saying even if Paradharma is well discharged you will get the required benefit. He is not saying that. Even if it is well discharged, the result will be disastrous. Therefore, when it comes to doing, there is a combination of factors that goes into the doing. From this what do you derive? In any doing, there is a combination of factors that goes into the doing. What are the combination? Number one, every human being has a natural inclination. So, the primary obligation is to pursue that natural inclination. Number one. Number two, in that is, since it is your natural inclination, automatically it is implied that you will. Automatically it implies that you will like it. Automatically you will like it. But pona varsada he said likes and dislikes are enemies. Again vairinam, nitya vairinam, paripantinam, shatru. Then How does it work? The second thing is, first step is there is a natural inclination, meaning you have gathered a momentum already. Where there is a momentum gathered already, you pursue that direction, you pursue that path. A human being becomes relatively available for knowledge. If you choose something which is opposite to your nature, as it is, you doing something opposite to your nature is frustrating. Knowledge comes and frustrates you more, no? If it is frustrating you, no, it is knowledge. If it is soothing you, no, it is not. It's not knowledge. How knowledge frustrates? Correct. It will say exactly opposite to. Yeah, very simple. Correct. It will say exactly the opposite of it. Full experience our Katha. It will say exactly the opposite of it. Appada, the relief, na, I do it exactly the opposite. You become unavailable for tapas, you become unavailable for manana. Because too much of frustrations. Even though Paradharma is a convenient act, even though Paradharma gives you all the material benefits, it's not just the material benefits. You can do a Paradharma activity and feel satisfied also about it. But independent of all this, as a human being, you are not performing, you are not evolving. Therefore he says, do an act which is of your natural inclination. What is Arjuna's natural inclination? To fight. That's the natural inclination. Huh? What is the natural inclination of Arjuna? What is the natural inclination of Arjuna? Huh? Kshatriya to fight. Warrior. What is it in that natural inclination? Huh? Kingdom to fight? The natural inclination means till this point of time when Krishna said, look at the Kurus assembled here, the opposite didn't exist at all to him. What is the opposite? What is opposite? At any given point of time in life, he never thought about avoiding the fight, avoiding the war. Arjuna never thought about avoiding the war till Krishna said what? Oh, Arjuna, I thought you are fighting with the enemies, but now I am seeing you are fighting with your family. No, what happened? He moved away from. Why he moved away? What made him to move away? What made him to move away? The immediate pain. It's not that he is averse to fight. It's not that he has become a Gautam Buddha. He has become a Mahavira, non-violent. That he wants to abandon. So what is natural inclination? Even when they were sitting in that forest for 13 long years, he went and did tapas to meet Shiva and get weapons. No. Okay, he did tapas and Shiva came. Foolish fellow, instead of asking for tapas, he should have asked for liberation. No. Are you able to follow? He did so his natural inclination is to fight. Now he wants to avoid that fight. Why? Why he wants to avoid that? Because of the immediate pain. By trying to avoid an action which is of his nature, because of that immediate pain, he is sowing the seed for a future vasana, a contradictory vasana. This is how a human being goes on adding new vasanas. So he says, well discharged, even though Swadharma, well, not devoid of merit. Devoid of merit means what? Even if you die, Arjuna, see, war means you should emerge victorious. Better to die than go outside and sit and talk like a Buddha. Paradharma is fraught with fear. To Krishna it is fraught with fear. To us there is no fear. For an ignorant human being, they are so concerned about the immediate pain. You are able to follow? Most of the time we move away from doing that which we ought to do because of the immediate pain. How long to you do an action, you do that which you ought to do, you experience what? You experience what do you experience? See, okay, when you are doing an action, what do you experience? Don't give philosophical answers, huh? Yeah. Huh? When you do an action, what all you experience? Again I am saying, I am talking about the doing, not the result. What all you experience while doing? When you do an action? Pain, stress, pain and stress because of expectation. First thing, when you do an action, first thing you experience is a non-cooperation. Your own personality not cooperating, the environment around you not cooperating. That's why we always look for a we always ask, no, a conducive organ. Why? You should go from, the difficulty in this classroom is we have to come from Shankaracharya's level to the basic level. I am moving from the basic level to the level of first thing that you experience is what? When you do an action, non-cooperation. Decide to do something, then you will know. If likes and dislikes are driving by itself, you will not know. You decide to do something, first thing that you experience is what? Non-cooperation. You decide to fast. People will say, I am coming home. No, how can you cook and you don't eat? And not? Neither can you tell them I am fasting today, come tomorrow. The first thing when you start doing is a non-cooperation from two. One is from your own self, another is environment. First, the human being tries to deal with the environment. First, what they try to deal with? The environment. That's why like-minded people should conduce in all. Then only, why? Doing is comfortable there. What makes doing comfortable? There is a
Cooperation.
there is a cooperation. Okay. Deeper than non-cooperation is what? Huh? Deeper than non-cooperation in doing is one is to say I will not cooperate. Another is to make your doing difficult. That's why they say this person is very difficult. Correct? When you say that person is difficult or this environment is difficult, what does it mean?
Against.
You are doing, they are sabotaging. Correct. Now you are in the. That is why what we do, we avoid. You follow? This person is tough. This person is tough, sir, means what? I want to do it and they make it difficult. That's why we say, don't make it difficult for me. Don't make it difficult for me. Now what is difficulty? Not only there is no cooperation, I want to do and the other is making it difficult means what? Ruining it. You follow? Now these are all the pain that goes into. These are all the pain that everybody experiences while doing. Now this is an immediate. Deeper than that is you choose something which is not of your nature. The very starting point itself is pain, and associated with, combined with all these pain, what the human being experiences? Well, nothing what to do, let me start something else. Correct? At that point of time the man says, just give up all these things and do something else. Krishna comes and says, better die doing that than taking up something else. Why? Because when you start doing this, when you move out of fear, you develop a tendency, you develop an attitude of being an escapist. Put it very simply. When you are frightened, what is instinctively? Instinctively the man tries to escape. No, the pain. Fearing that pain, what is Arjuna doing now? Fearing the pain of seeing, fearing the pain of having to see his own people dying in front of his eyes. He is saying, let's avoid. Krishna's advice is, this is your obligation, this is what your natural tendency is, do it. Here comes the knowledge at this point. How to do it? Having chosen a field of activity, do not allow likes and dislikes to interfere. That's Swadharma. The field of activity is determined by your natural inclination, but the doing is not disturbed by likes and dislikes. Now, very confusing. Path is decided by likes and dislikes, but the doing is not decided by likes and dislikes. Nah, correct? I tell you. One of the very confusing verses is these kind of verses. But straight away it looks, do that which of everybody should do things according to their nature. You have to choose a field of activity which you cannot help but conform to your likes. Having chosen a field of activity, let not that likes and dislikes comes and interfere with your doing. That's all. Unless you understand the effects of non-doing and the pain of it, you will never understand the worthiness of this advice. You follow? Such a extraordinary advice. You choose a field of activity based on your natural inclination, means it will be of your like. Having chosen that, let not your likes and dislikes come and interfere. What is that likes and dislikes? That immediate pain of doing, or the feverishness for the result. The immediate pain of doing it, or the feverishness of the result. The Australian nurse wrote a book called The Regrets of the Dying. She wrote a book. Palliative care. She was nursing those people, palliative care, and she writes 100% success rate. None of her patients survived. Palliative care, no. All the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks of their life, they are. So at that point of time, they didn't have anybody else to talk to except her. And she writes about her experiences with whatever they spoke to her. She wrote that into a book after she retired. Fantastic book. Regrets of the dying. What is the regret? 85-90% of them told her, what we did in life is not what we wanted to do. We wanted to do something, but we ended up doing something else. But now it is lying down. Time is ticking. Clarity comes, but of no use. Why they chose that at that point of time? Because of either the immediate benefit it gives, they chose that Paradharma, or avoided the Swadharma because of the immediate pain. This is how Raga and Dvesha interferes with the actions. Are you able to follow? Again I repeat, they choose something to do because of the immediate gain, the result they got. Invariably something material in nature, correct, Prasad. Invariably it will be something material in nature. After getting that, only the human being realizes that This is not what he asked for. Okay. He understands this is not what he asked for. Will he have the courage to let go of it? If he can let go of it, he will become a Janaka. You will follow? But he can't. He can't let go of it either. So, he becomes a victim of his own actions, the results of that action. Why he avoided doing that Swadharma karma? Because of the immediate pain. Therefore, actions are all the time driven by the immediate gain or from this you understand how the human mind functions now. Whatever I do, there should not be any pain in it. At the same time, result should come instantly, correct. That instantaneous thing. Well discharged means you will do all this with dedication, sincerity, conscientiousness, whatever values you want to put, you will put, and the person comes back and say, "Sir, Vedanta dedicated sincerity லாம் சொல்றது sir, but that's what I have been doing all along." Not realizing it is Paradharma, fraught with fear. Therefore, convenient arrangements make a person choose Paradharma. Convenient arrangements make a person choose Paradharma. The standard example that he gives is, father is the doctor, mother is the doctor, hospital is there. It is convenient for child to pursue the same. He says, it is, have you ever thought whether it is your Swadharma? That's all he's asking. He's not saying always it will be Paradharma. Have you ever investigated, is it part of your nature? Convenient arrangements doesn't make paradharmic activity evolutionary, nor the pain of Swadharma. Why there will be a pain in Swadharma activity? Why there will be a pain in Swadharma activity? Now carefully follow. Again I will repeat next class also. At any given point of time, the sincerity, this dedication, this Shraddha is painful. At any point of time, Shraddha is painful. If it is in the direction of your Swadharma, it is if it is in the direction of your Swadharma, it is again I repeat this. At any given point of time, Shraddha, dedication, conscientiousness is painful. Now there are two directions you have, Swadharma and Paradharma. Are you okay till now? In Swadharma, what makes it painful? It's not the Swadharmic field that is painful. The very quality of Shraddha is painful. But you will lack the energy to motivate yourself to consistently do it, because there is a resisting force already. In Swadharma, that resistance force is not there. So as a result of which you will be able to pursue it, even though it is Swadharma activity doesn't mean pain element will go away. Pain element is there. In the direction of Swadharma, the resistance is not, there is no that much of resistance. In Paradharma, there is a basic resistance. But the human being doesn't see it because of his focus on the immediate, gain. He is willing to go through that pain because he is motivated by his focus is on the immediate gain, immediate result. At least madhyantakulla something I will get. Whole day I work now, evening I can get some amount and go to the bar, and that immediate fraught with fear. Why it is fraught with fear is because very soon you will lose conviction in paradharmic activity. Very soon you will lose conviction in the higher. What is the higher? Shraddha is the higher. That is why so many people come and say the dedicated pursuit Shraddha meeri lakku venu sir. They talk, no? Nada irnalum an element of lakku irukunu sir. Appada it will work. Okay, Shraddha is very dedicated, you should do, but a lack of conviction in the higher. What is higher? Shraddha. The mind shifts to believing in the other things. Why? Because there is a fundamental resistance. What is the fundamental resistance? Functioning in the area which is not one's Swadharma. Having understood this, it's very complicated it is. Having understood this, and a layperson will find it almost impossible to comprehend. 4th chapter is going to say that. The fourfold caste system was designed. Today it doesn't make any, not that the caste system doesn't make any sense. People have lost the almost rigid they kept. This caste system was kept almost like a rigid system because of the difficulty of Swadharma and Paradharma. Today, since the focus is more on this entire discussion of Swadharma and Paradharma and all will become meaningful only when the society or the individual is focused towards evolution, towards liberation. When the society or the individual is not focused towards evolution or liberation, Swadharma, Paradharma and all doesn't make any difference. For the end result is, quite a few think Swadharma is a very good way of, it's a very good Swadharma Purujitana career choices will be made rightly. No, it is not a technique for Swadharma, Paradharma is not a technique to teach you how to make even though examples are given in that direction to convey one point, but don't restrict it to, it's not a technique to say what career to develop, read Bhagavad Gita. and you will find Swadharma and choose a career. It's not that. What it means is, if you have to evolve, there is a pain. And this pain will be manageable if it is in the direction of your Swadharma. Very soon you will see the growth. If it is in the direction of Paradharma, what happens? Very soon you will give up. Very soon you will give up the conviction in the higher. What is losing conviction in the higher? That's why I gave this example. So many people believe in this, no? They say, hard work, dedicated, sincere, panna kuda. Luck venu, sir. 3 types of question paper is given. Luck, no? The child comes and says, nobody say, appola ellarkum ore question paper da. So you can copy also easily. If every 3 people are getting 3 different question papers, now you really don't know. You can't even copy from. Correct, illa? 4, 3 or 4? 3. அவ்வளோதான் ஹார்ட் ஒர்க் பண்ணி படிச்சுன்னு போனால் கூட விச் கொஸ்டின் பேப்பர் கம்ஸ் டு யூ டிட்டர்மின்ஸ் த ரிசல்ட்டா? டோன்ட் வரி. ஸ்வதர்மா, பரதர்மா, பகவத்கீதா எல்லாம் இஸ் நாட் ஃபார் தட். இஸ் நாட் ஃபார் தட் ஹியூமன் பீயிங். Why? Because he has lost that conviction in the higher. Why? Because the resistances that he is facing, the unexplicable, unknown resistances, as a result of which there is a reduction in the intensity of the doing, results not going in one's own way. Not only results not going in one's own way, more and more of agitation and frustration. Finally ends up in believing what will help? What will help? Luck only will help. Fate only determines that I am not getting. That's why he says, remove these two. To summarize, remember this. Start from the difficulties that you experience in the doing first. Don't think in terms of the results of the doing. The first difficulty is, what are the difficulties that you experience while doing? Start with that. What is the first difficulty you experience? Non-cooperation. வீட்டில் யாருமே கோஆப்ரேட் பண்ண மாட்டேன்றாங்க சார். What to do? Non-cooperation. Office level, nobody is cooperating. Everybody has come there to do the work. Why will they not cooperate? When you say non-cooperation, what are you asking for?
The way I want it.
Non-cooperation means make it easy. For I am not willing to go through that pain of that effort. That's what non-cooperation is. What does cooperation means? Making it easy. So the tendency is what? To avoid the effort, because it is painful, and seek that which will make it easy. Even if it is Paradharma, doesn't matter, do it. All this we will see, Prayaschittala we will do later and offset it. But first, do it. Second thing is the mind slipping. That I'll take up next week. That we know already. That what he has covered in verse number 30. The second thing while doing is the mind is slipping. There is a frustration, there is a pain, the mind is slipping. As a result of all this, the human being's focus is on what? That's why he keeps on saying like a joke, no? Holidays. Take a break. Why take a break? Because from every direction there is, or in all possible directions there is no support. For a few days, take a break and gather all the energies and come back. When you come back, you will not have any energy because the memory of the past will sit so heavy on you that previously if it took half a day to get frustrated, and now you will get frustrated in half an hour. Again you take a break and come back. Half an hour frustration la vana. Sight of the person itself is frustrating. Again take a break and come back. Sight of the person la illa. Thought of that person itself is enough. At this point of time, the human being dies. This is death. This is what? This is how death happens and moves into a new environment. Again birth, again death, again birth, again death. Cyclically. All because of what? Not doing the actions in the way it ought to be done. You follow? If it is not done in the way it ought to be done, there is pain from all possible quarters. When there is a pain from all possible quarters, the tendency will be what? The tendency will be to walk out, escape. Temporary escape is taking a break. Permanent escape is death. Temporary escape is taking so every time you take a break, you are asking for death. You will say, my God, I will go back and start. You follow? That's why the wise man does actions continuously. Because when you are moving away, what are you asking for? Asking for death. Change of environment means another. Change of environment means another body, another environment, another cycle of the same cycle. What is the starting point of all this? Avoiding. Trying to avoid the pain of action. Effort. Action means effort. And where action becomes painful is when there is no cooperation. Cooperation, lack of cooperation within your own self, from environment. Only weather. Weather. Okay, weather nalla irundichina something. So there are a million reasons that can convince you of. Now, what will help you to fight all this and stay put and do it? Knowledge and understanding. If you have to gain this knowledge and understanding, some basic some basic kind of mental peace is required. From where will you get that? Swadharma karma. Otherwise it is impossible. இவ்வளோ கன்ஃபியூசிங்காக இருந்தால் ஸ்வதர்மெல்லாம் வேணாம் சார். ஜஸ்ட் கண்டினியூ வித் வாட் எவர் வி ஆர் டூயிங், கீப் டேக்கிங் பிரேக்ஸ் அண்ட் வி கீப் கமிங். எவ்ரி டைம் யூ வாண்ட் டு டேக் அ பிரேக், யூ ஆர் ஆஸ்கிங் ஃபார் I just can't do it, sir, anymore. What should I do now, na? What will you say? Will you do it like this? Obviously, I will not. I will not do. Why will I do? Therefore, take a break. Every time you move away, you are asking for death. It's not asking for death. Philosophically, asking for death is a frightful way of looking at it. Asking for change means creating a new vasana, a new bondage. A hope goes on developing what? In an ideal environment, everything will happen. I still remember, he said, the pigeon here can disturb you, he said. Leave everything and come there. The pigeon at 5 o'clock in the morning makes. See, that's the time he started translating the verses. Previously, the verses commentary and all wasn't there, except the book Vedanta Treatise and Atma Bodha and Symbolism. No other books was there. So when he started writing that Gita thing first, he used to be there to do. Up he will say, see that pigeon, it makes that noise. So irritating that you can shoot the pigeon down, or you can make a soundproof room and sit inside that soundproof room. Suddenly you will hear a noise from nowhere. Your own mind will scream and shout on top of the voice. You will feel like running out of that. Non-cooperation it's not about non-cooperation. It is about effort. Action always has a pain. What is the pain? Actions that has to be done with the right knowledge and understanding versus action done with likes and dislikes. That pain will always be there. Swadharma karma is a very helpful method to make sure that your assimilation of knowledge, manana, becomes that much comfortable. Therefore he says, pursue Swadharma even though devoid of merit. Don't do Paradharma even though you can do it well discharged. Better to die in Swadharma than excelling in Paradharma. சரியா?
Okay, it's a job with this. ये स्वधर्म उठना नहीं बनता, परधर्म चूज करना आपका स्वधर्म है.